Hello and welcome to New Mexico Rising. My name is Dan. You know, each and every week I try to bring people from across the country to talk to me about things we can do right here in your neighborhood. Oh, and on this week's show, I know this is something that I don't say very often to my guests, but you are a crazy person.
Guilty as charged, okay?
All of that and more right here on New Mexico Rising.
STEM careers are growing fast, but women are still outnumbered in tech and engineering. Educators are working hard to change that, starting as early as middle school. Dr. Sumter is a teacher, author, and STEM philanthropist, and Scarlett Howery is the Vice President of Public Workforce Solutions at Durham University. They're here to talk about the programs helping young girls explore careers in tech. Welcome, you two.
Hello.
Hello. Dr. Sumter, women hold only about 35% of the STEM jobs, even though they make up nearly half the workforce. What are some ways that colleges and schools can help close that gap?
Oh, well, we see that women have been making strides in STEM. We also see that from the data that there are still challenges as a part of an educational institution that is committed to closing that skill gap and fostering continuous learning. I see firsthand how valuable hands-on learning and real-world problem solving is important. Programs like Her World allow us to introduce STEM activities to middle school young ladies and get them interested in STEM. And then programs like Women in Tech Scholar allows us to provide resources and tools for the women who are getting started in the tech field, and those resources are very valuable to them.
And Scarlett, what kinds of tech careers will be in demand over the next 10 years?
AI and high volume data analytics are truly changing the way that we work and we learn. We're seeing positions that are vanishing and other positions that are transitioning in ways we hadn't even thought about 3 to 5 years ago. That's why upskilling and reskilling is so important. It's not just a nice to have, it's necessary to have it. Degrees are still important, but it's not the only way to gain skills in this industry. It requires that educational institutions provide pathways for learners, either at the level where they are currently working and upskilling and reskilling, all the way to those workers who are brand new to the workforce. At DeVry, for instance, we infuse AI into our courses so that learners understand AI and its concepts, how it's going to impact them, how it's going to impact their careers. And then we also look at it at the undergraduate and graduate level based on industry and based on specific roles so that learners take away AI fluency and can use it immediately in their careers.
And Dr. Sumter, you run STEM programs all across the country. What's working and how can we encourage more young girls to get involved?
Definitely introducing young girls at a young age, building their curiosity and building their confidence in the STEM industry, and introducing them to role models that look like them, that they can see that individuals are being successful in the STEM fields. We see that young ladies typically don't go into the STEM field because they lack role models, but programs like Her World not only allow us to introduce them to STEM activities, but it allows us to introduce them to role models that they can talk to and see how they're being successful in the field, and it builds their confidence and it changes the perception that they can't be in the STEM field and they won't be successful in the STEM field.
And Scarlett, can you tell us a little bit more about DeVry's Her World program and how's it really helping young women explore careers in STEM?
Yeah, like Dr. Sumter said, I'm passionate about this initiative and the opportunity to bring STEM to young girls who are in the moments of still learning, curious about what careers they want to go into. So doing those hands-on activities and getting to meet leaders in STEM like Dr. Sumter is truly important work for us to do. We're excited to partner with the Boys and Girls Club here in North Central Illinois, where we'll bring Her World to students who are in grades 5 through 8. So they get to do some of those experiments with science and technology and ultimately find themselves in STEM.
And where can people go for more information?
Yeah, for more information, you can visit devry.edu.
Thanks you both for joining us today.
Thank you.
Natural disasters are becoming more frequent and more intense, causing billions of dollars in damage every single year. So how do we build homes that can stand up to the toughest conditions? Renowned storm chaser Josh Morgerman, also known as Hurricane Man, has been inside more hurricanes than anyone on the planet. That 78 and counting. So he's joining us live from the International Builder Show to talk about climate resilient homes and how the right materials like those from James Hardie can help homes withstand that extreme weather. Welcome to the show, Josh. How are you, my friend?
Great to be here, Dan. Thanks a lot.
I know this is something that I don't say very often to my guests, but you are a crazy person.
Guilty as charged, okay?
You are storm chasing and jumping in hurricanes. That drives it. Okay, I'm in. You have the most experience. Why is it more important than ever for people to build climate resilient homes?
Yeah, well, first off, I just want to say I've spent my whole life being ridiculed for the life I've chosen, so it's totally cool.
I'm sorry.
Totally cool.
I'm
not
sorry.
Offended.
I was just calling a spade a spade.
No, it's totally cool. But no, here's the deal, though. Putting myself in all these dangerous situations all around the world has given me some pretty profound insights into, okay, what I need to do with my home that I built in a very hurricane-prone area to make it resistant to climate. And the things I did with my home apply to folks all over North America, because North America, wherever you are, Florida, the desert Southwest, you name it, we live in a very violent continent in terms of weather and climate. So we've got to make our homes resistant to these forces. It's a smart thing to do. Don't worry about these destructive forces, just build for them.
So what are some practical ways homeowners can actually just make their existing homes more durable against some of this extreme weather?
Well, I always like to give folks a checklist of 3 things in places that are prone to, let's say, like windstorms, whether they be hurricanes or tornadoes or straight line winds, which is a lot of the United States. So one is look at your roof. Okay. I always say if your roof stays on, you're going to be okay. If it comes off, it's game over. So make sure it's properly engineered, make sure it's strapped on. Sometimes there's a little bit you can do to just make sure it's properly attached, even with your existing home. There's things you could do that don't cost a lot of money to keep it on. And maybe if it's time for a re-roofing, think about really investing. I built my home on the Mississippi Gulf Coast on a budget, okay? But the thing I spent money on was the roof because I knew how important it was. Second thing is your windows, okay? Windows are like the Achilles heel of your house. They're the weak point, okay? Window breaks, the wind gets in, that can do a lot of structural damage because the house is almost like a balloon. It fills with the air. So with windows, you either want impact glass, which won't shatter when debris hits it, or you want a good shutter system, which is what I have. When we have a storm coming, a hurricane, I just shutter up the house and it's sealed like a vault. And then finally, I think the most important thing is your siding. So I see the siding on my home as like its coat of armor, okay? And I originally wanted wood, and my builder was like, no way, we're using something else called fiber cement. And I was like, okay, what is that? That doesn't sound nice. Sounds ugly, actually. Okay, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development recommends fiber cement siding because it's resistant to fire, wind, and water, okay? And if you do the right brand like James Hardie, it looks exactly like wood. I built my home in an historical district where it has to look like the home has to look 100 years old. So I have this lap siding that looks like wood, even up close, but it's made of this fiber cement. Now, why did I do it? Impact resistant, moisture resistant. It doesn't rot. It doesn't mold. Termites hate it. Okay, which is really awesome. That's like a benefit right there. And it's even non-combustible. So those are 3 things: your roof, your windows, and good fiber cement siding that's going to protect the inside of your home.
Yeah, you don't want to turn your house into an Airbnb for termites.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're at the International Builder Show. What are some of the biggest trends in home construction that you're seeing right now?
Well, I think it's this attention to climate resilience. I think, we've had like a bunch of bad hurricane seasons in a row especially on the Gulf Coast. In the desert Southwest, we've had devastating fires, especially in California, even out in Hawaii. We've had some bad tornado seasons. We've had these unbelievable floods. We've really been through the ringer the last few years all across the United States in terms of natural disasters. And I think that builders are really thinking about this now. It's not just about how the house looks, but how it's going to perform in these kind of stressful situations, because you want a home that doesn't just look nice, but that's built to last. And so I think that's what everyone's looking at. So James Hardie is looking at. It's really smart. It's like, how do we look nice but how do you survive? How do you be tough?
I want to thank you for joining me this morning, and I know I've been picking on you, but hey, I'm afraid of a nice warm breeze. But where can we go for more information and learn more about building stronger homes?
I'm gonna have to take you out with me to toughen you up. But if you want to learn more about, just sort of like how to properly side your house with a good fiber cement siding, go to JamesHardie, HARDIE.com. If you want to follow my crazy adventures, follow me on most social media platforms. iCyclone, the letter I, the word cyclone.
I'm in. I'll go. This sounds like an adventure. Josh Morgerman, thanks for joining me this morning, my friend.
Thanks, Dan.
Tax season isn't just about filing forms. It's a great time to take a closer look at your budget and make sure you're not losing money on things that you don't need. In fact, a recent survey found that most Americans regret how they spent their money last year. Jeanette Kaplun, founder and CEO of Hispania Global, is here to help us find easy ways to help us save more in 2025. Good morning, Jeanette.
Good morning. It's so good to see you.
Same. What are 3 things that we should look for when we're doing our taxes that can help us save money?
Well, staying organized is key. The first thing that you need to do is to keep track of all those business-related expenses or side hustle expenses like office supplies, car mileage, internet costs, and also make sure you're taking advantage of all possible deductions and credits, especially if you're a parent like me. File on time and choose the right status. And if you need extra time, please file an extension. There is no need to pay for late fees or penalties.
And many of us have extra subscriptions that we don't even use. How can we cut those out and stop wasting money?
Oh, it's crazy the amount of money that we spend on subscriptions, both online and offline. So keep track of everything that you're being charged for, and any services that you're not using, just cancel them, get rid of them. And if you're sharing an account with kids, please make sure to track in-app purchases because those quickly add up. And whenever you sign up for a free trial, I have a tip for you. Write down in your calendar when you need to cancel by, so that way you avoid being charged every week, every month, and every year for something that you're not really using.
A really good tip. Is there a time to find like deals on everyday expenses? Like, is this the time to do that? And if so, what should we look for?
100%. Now is the time to really look for all these deals. There are so many. And if you're concerned about auto renewing contracts like I am, Now by Xfinity is amazing. Now offers pay as you go mobile, internet, and streaming options all month to month without annual contracts or credit checks. And signing up is a breeze, so easy, either online or at your local Xfinity store. When you sign up for internet, you'll get a box with everything you need. You simply plug it in and activate it through the Xfinity app and you get started. Now internet starts at just $30 per month, and that's all in pricing. All the equipment is included. And if you're interested in mobile service as well as internet, then you can get amazing savings for just $55 with no annual contracts, no hidden fees. That's what you pay, $55 a month. That's it. And streaming is also so important these days, and now has 3 different streaming services. It has Now TV Latino, and Now Stream Saver. So look into them because you could end up saving so much money.
And if we get a tax refund, what is the best way to use that money wisely?
Well, a lot of people don't realize, but interest rates are still quite high. So the smartest thing that you can do is actually pay off your debt. And if you have any money left over after that, put it in a high yield savings account or invest in yourself, maybe improving your skills or taking care of your health, which is super important.
And where can people go to find more ways to save?
You can go to xfinity.com/now to learn more.
Jeanette, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me.
The CDC estimates there has been at least 33 million flu cases this season, leading to 430,000 hospitalizations and 19,000 deaths. And we're still not in the clear. While the flu vaccine has been proven safe and effective, many people are still hesitant to roll up their sleeve. Dr. Darlene Lawrence, a board-certified family physician, and pharmacist Kelli Good are here to talk about why it's not too late to get vaccinated, especially if you're over 50 or have a chronic condition like obesity or heart disease. Welcome to the show, you two. How are you?
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so this flu season seems to be hitting harder than usual. Is that true? Or if so, what do you think is driving the increase in cases?
Well, you hit the nail on the head with those numbers that you gave, and they are outstanding. That is too much flu that's out here, and it's wreaking havoc. It's causing actual deaths, lots of hospitalizations. Part of that, I think, is due to an underestimate, an under immunization of patients this year. They're just vaccine weary after coming out of the pandemic for 5 years, after being told by the media and all of their folks to get vaccines. They're more hesitant this year. They are saying, I can skip it this year. I didn't get the flu yet. Or the flu, it just means I'll be home from work for a few days sick. But the flu is really serious. And so as we're under immunized, the flu is spreading more widely and quicker than it has in the past.
And some people assume if they haven't gotten the flu shot yet, it just feels like it's too late. Is that the case, or is there still time that we could get ourselves protected?
So it's absolutely not too late to get vaccinated. We usually think about the flu shots as a fall activity, but you've heard from Dr. Lawrence that the flu is still active in most communities and can continue to be active through the end of April. The flu vaccine is not only a safe and effective way to guard against flu, it's our best protection. And it also plays a crucial role in reducing the potential for other serious complications. So if you haven't gotten your flu shot yet, you should make plans to visit your doctor or pharmacist as soon as possible. By choosing to get vaccinated, you help us build a community of immunity against flu.
And there's a lot of misinformation floating around about flu prevention and complications. What are some of the biggest myths that just need to be cleared up?
One of them is that the flu is just the cold. It's just the cold. But a cold is going to give you a runny nose, some sneezing, maybe you might feel bad for maybe 3 or 4 days. But the flu is way more serious. You're going to have fever, you're going to have cough, shortness of breath, even a sore throat, body aches. You can even get as sick as having pneumonia and needing to be hospitalized. And God forbid, the flu does result in death for look how many people you said before. So one of the things is to know what the difference is between the cold and the flu. Know where you can get that information. You can always talk to your doctor or to your pharmacist about whether you are at risk for the flu. And you can find out this information also on the internet. Yes, the dreaded internet. There are awesome sites on the internet that are trusted resources put together and curated by physicians. One of them is familydoctor.org, where you can go and find out information that is trusted and reliable about the flu.
And when it comes to flu season, we always worry about children, parents, maybe the grandparents. Who do you think is at most at risk for severe complications? And what should be what should we be doing now to try to stay safe?
So getting vaccinated is not only important for your own health, but also for the well-being of those around you and that you care for. And as you mentioned, the flu is highly contagious and can be particularly dangerous in the elderly, those with underlying conditions, and children. So the more people who get vaccinated, the better are we able to protect these vulnerable groups, so that community of immunity. If you're over 50 or if you have chronic conditions like heart disease, diabetes, obesity, it's especially important for you to get your flu vaccine. So please talk with your doctor or pharmacist about which flu vaccine is best for you and get vaccinated today if you've not been vaccinated.
All right, you two, thanks for joining me this morning. Where can our viewers go for more information and maybe get some more decisions about flu protection?
Well, you can come to see someone like me or come to see someone like Kelli. We have great information for you. And when you can't get to your doctor or pharmacist, go to familydoctor.org and go to that site that looks at flu for this fall.
Thank you, two, for joining me this morning.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
NBA Twitter is a world of its own, where memes become legends, viral moments spark debates, and basketball never sleeps. And now it's all coming to life in Memes and Nightmares. It's a satirical mockumentary diving deep into the culture of digital fandom. And at the center of it all, we have Josiah Johnson, the king of NBA Twitter himself. He's here to talk about the film, the madness of social media, and how basketball went from a game to a 24/7 online phenomenon. Welcome to the show, Josiah. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good, Dan. I appreciate the two cameras and the cutting, all the stuff you got going on over there, man. That's legendary. That's ball. Excited to get this going. I gotta show love. I gotta show love when I see stuff that I appreciate, man. But thank you so much for having me. Excited to help promote this film, Memes and Nightmares, premiering February 20th, streaming exclusively on Hulu. For me to get the opportunity to work with somebody like LeBron James, who's my favorite basketball player of all time, and work with his company Spring Hill and also the good folks over at Anscape and Starry to make this thing happen, man. I'm just super excited right now. I'm smiling ear to ear, my heart's fluttering, just ready for people to see this thing.
You should be proud and you should be honored, man. You've built a reputation as like the king of NBA Twitter. So how did you take that energy and bring it into Memes and Nightmares?
So really just for me, the film, we've been working on this thing for over 3.5 years now. We did a lot of the principal photography back in 2022. For anybody who's a Twitter fan, which is now called X, I'll never call it X, only just obviously to tell you the new name that it has, but knows that there was a huge shift in 2022. The platform changed a lot. But LeBron and his crew over at Spring Hill reached out to me, said they had an idea for a film. They wanted to show some love to NBA Twitter. And I think something that was important for me was to really just pay tribute and homage to the men and women who have helped make this community what it is. Like, there's so many incredibly talented people, everyday people that have used and leveraged this thing to grow and put themselves in positions they may have never imagined, myself included, and also the players, the fans, the teams, and just this whole world. So I think this film really takes a deep dive into that world to really show people, even if you're a casual fan and you've always been curious what NBA Twitter is, this film really helps highlight that.
I agree with you. It went from tweeting to, what do we call it now? Excreting? God.
Yeah. It's always going to be Twitter to me. It ain't never changing.
All right. This film is like a buddy cop style satire on internet culture. What was it like playing off Jamal Johnson, and how was that dynamic shape the comedy?
Jamel, one of my favorite comedians, very heavy in not only the NBA Twitter, but WNBA Twitter spaces. So it's crazy. So the production team behind it, they wrote a script. I think we ended up ad-libbing about 90 to 95% of it. We would take a look at the script, whatever the emotion of the scene was, if you will. Jamel, just such an amazing improver. I was just trying to keep space with him, or keep up with him, go to toe with him, if you will. But for us, it was just, every day on set was, just us trying to make each other laugh. And I think that's really reflected in the film. And we were friends before we worked on this project. So to be able to do things with people that you respect with your friends, I think always makes things easier. So, showing up every day on set, there were some long days, 14, 16, 18-hour days, but we'd always keep the mood light. And I think even, filming this was reflective of what NBA Twitter is for a lot of us. It's just a place to get the jokes off, lighthearted, and to share our love of basketball. So being able to work with Jamel, being able to work with the other members of the production team, truly, just you have a lot of great relationships with a lot of those people. So to see this thing now finally come and be released it's a labor of love, and I'm super excited about it.
And NBA Twitter has produced some of the wildest viral moments over the years. Were there any real life stories or memes that inspired scenes in the movie?
Yeah, I think we do a lot of callbacks just to NBA Twitter culture and vital moments that, if you're a basketball fan, they're basically Easter eggs, if they call them in the production world, but Easter eggs that people will be able to watch and I think understand what we're doing. But also we wanted to make sure that this thing wasn't too insidey. It wasn't just you had to be a member of NBA Twitter or deep into that world to understand the film. So we have a lot of stuff for even the casual fans to help learn and help them kind of improve their knowledge of the space. But a lot of moments that we pay tribute to throughout the film.
Josiah Johnson, you're the man. Memes and Nightmares, it drops on Hulu right now. And if you ever laughed at an NBA meme or been sucked into a Twitter debate, this one's for you. Josiah, thanks for hanging out with me, my friend.
Hey, thank you, Dan, and make sure everybody, you go watch, get Hulu if you don't got it. Check out Memes and Nightmares. It's streaming on Hulu, like Dan said. And help support me, help yourself learn about NBA Twitter.
You're the man.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Have you ever watched a true crime show and thought, I'm ready for something a little different? Maybe crimes that don't revolve around murder? Well, you're in luck. There's a fascinating new docuseries called The Curious Case Of, which dives into real-life stories involving guardianships, missing persons, and even funeral home scandals. And who better to guide us through all of these twists than legal analyst and former New York City Assistant DA, Beth Karas. Beth, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you very much.
Beth, your show takes on some really unusual cases, definitely not your like typical homicide stories. So why did you choose these particular topics for The Curious Case of?
So first of all, we found that there is an appetite by the public for stories that don't have to involve murder. If you're a crime aficionado, it doesn't have to be murder and mayhem, right? So this was a nice departure from that. The Natalia Gray series, which was 3 seasons, was very successful, showed us that. So we found these really twisted, weird stories where you go on a journey. Like, what? I mean, it's like head snapping. Sometimes it's like, I can't believe they did this, or who do I believe? I don't know. I don't know what the truth is. So we look for stories that were kind of twisted that would be compelling and capture the interest of the viewer. And so far, so good.
One story that really got my attention centers on Bam Margera, someone who's been pretty open about his struggles. How did he end up on your radar?
That is a bizarre story, and that is something that producers followed for a few years. This is not something that was put together only in the past year, because we have video we created, or captured over the years as he was going through his treatment with a guardian, under the care of a guardian. Lima is her name. The family brought her in. It wasn't like she just interjected herself in Bam's life. And it was temporary. It doesn't exist anymore, the guardianship. But then there's a woman on the East Coast, this was West Coast, a woman on the East Coast who had led one of the Free Britney Spears movements, who then, once Britney was out of her conservatorship, took on the Free Bam. And so we tell, even though it's Bam's story, it's these two women butting heads. Like, what, should he be in a guardianship? Is this doing more harm than good? And who is this person who's leading the Free Bam movement? Is she for real? So in the end, Bam pulls out of it. I mean, Bam reacted positively to the episode. He's married again. He's sober. He seems to be doing well. So it has a good ending.
Another case that stood out to me was the Funeral Home of Horrors. That sounds unsettling. Can you give us like an overview?
And that's a recent story, right? I mean, the arrests were in the fall of 2023. They've now taken pleas. This is a husband and wife, funeral directors, who would take money from people saying, yes, we will have your loved one, your child, your husband, your parent cremated. And then they were just letting the bodies pile up in one of their 2 locations that they weren't using. And the bodies were decomposing. And they would give them ashes from someone else or cement dust they'd give the family.
Beth, I really like this series. It covers eye-opening situations without that usual murder focus. And I appreciate your time and insights. If you want to check it out, it's The Curious Case of on ID. Thanks for joining me this morning, Beth.
My pleasure, and thank you.
And that's it for New Mexico Rising. I want to thank you for tuning in and checking out the show. To find out more about the show, go to our website, newmexicorising.com. And until next week, that was New Mexico Rising.
Transform ordinary moments into extraordinary memories with our magical succulent bar. Whether it's a quiet moment of reflection or a first date, let the enchantment of nature enhance every occasion. Radiate positivity and create manifestations while making your very own magical succulent. Embrace the magic at Zinkstown, where we bring positivity to any occasion.